This is the story of Giles Deacon, a story of unstructured exploration, a designer who has always drawn, and the surprise of collaboration. I really want to go right back to the beginning and kind of when you were growing up. What was it like? What kind of kid were you? What were you doing? What did you do to have fun?
I was born in County Durham in Darlington, and was actually spent the first 12 years of my life in the Lake District, near a little village called Matterdale End. It was a house that was in the middle of nowhere. Kind of nearest house was about 3 miles away, so you could have quite an idyllic time of vanishing for the day.
And so as you're growing up, you're kind of exploring and kind of feeling your way through life, as all of us do. There's a certain moment when you start noticing art or design, and when was that? What was going through your head?
I suppose, I'd always liked drawing things, so probably subconsciously there was something there that was like a hand-eye visual interest response thing that was developing. Kind of opposite to that, I think it was probably when I was about sort of 13, 14, me and my friend Glenn this is when I moved back to County Durham, we used to get the bus and train up to Newcastle. As we were becoming aware of music and kind of more teenage interests, so we'd go and get quite obsessive about buying records and 12 inches and various record covers, like early sort of Belgian new beat records, and kind of then reading about various fashion designers of the time, obviously an ID and that kind of thing. I suppose that was a kind of real opening to something else that looked appealing and interesting and exciting. So that was at the time that I kind of got interested into reading about all these things that was going on, and I suppose developed an interest in wanting to do something other than something that I didn't know what I wanted to do.
So you end up in this foundation course at Harrogate, and that seems like it was quite a defining moment for you. Can you tell me a little bit about what was going through your mind and what it felt like to finally discover something that you actually really loved?
I wasn't terribly good at school in the academic world, didn't do art A-level or O-level, but had always kept my own kind of sketchbooks of things, and then did really badly in my A-levels. And this friend of my friend's mother who said, "Oh, well, why don't you apply to do an arts foundation course?" So, some friends had previously done them, so I was aware of them and where they were at. So the course had already started, in this one in Harrogate, and went to see the course director, a really brilliant man called Tony Gell, and took him all my stuff, and he was just kind of laughing, just going, I really shouldn't take you on. There's 3 places of people who haven't turned up. The course has already started. Start next Monday. So that was kind of how I got onto the course. Well, the course, I think it pretty much is still run in the same way, is that you do various blocks of graphics, fine art, fashion, kind of the whole gamut of all that. And on doing all the blocks, I kind of really enjoyed the fashion one the most. The people were the most fun, and I really enjoyed the work. And the actual fashion tutor was this brilliant lady called Cheryl Evans, who had previously been to St Martin's as well, and she really liked what I did and was very, very hard on pushing me to do various other projects outside of the ones that were set, which is really brilliant that she kind of did that. And I suppose in retrospect, she really kind of singled me out as her one that she wanted to really push, and she was like, really want you to go to St Martin's. I'd heard of it, obviously, from the kind of ID and face reading of the time. Came down to London, saw all the colleges, and just when walking into the building, I just thought, this is the one I really want to go to.
So CSM has this reputation of being this extremely intense but very free place. Can you tell me what the experience was like for you?
I was known for being really quite square in arriving early most days, and pretty much working quite hard. I kind of, even then, without sounding all like kind of la-di-da, felt that it was quite a privilege to be on that course. And I used to get really fucked off with, there was like some people who arrived in the last term of the 3rd year who I'd never ever seen before, who just hadn't turned up, had come in to do registration and had gone again, which I kind of thought was a crying shame for those people who would have, maybe hadn't that certain talent hadn't been seen at the interview process, who then on getting on could have really, really flourished. And I thought it was a real shame that various people had let it kind of just dwindle away and just took it very in a blasé fashion. Whether it's my kind of northern pragmatism of things to want to get on and, do things in a place. There was amazing tutors coming in all the time, great people in years above as well who were fantastic. And, I just really wanted to make the most of it and learn as much as possible. So, I was a real worker, and things like when we were having design and make projects, the really brilliant technical staff work there, and you'd all get booked into a certain time when you'd have your allotted technical person. And so I used to get in early, and invariably 3 people wouldn't turn up and machinists would be sat with nothing to do, so you could just get them to do your stuff.
Use all 3.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
And, I kind of I just enjoyed. I loved it there. I thought I was there at a really fantastic time.
So then after St. Martin's, lots of designers go through this kind of confusing period where they don't know what to do. And amongst other things, over a course of 8 years, you did some work for Debenhams, you moved to Paris and worked for Giles de Castelbajac, you started your own label, Linda Deacon, and you worked as an illustrator. How did those intervening years before your kind of full-fledged thrust into the fashion industry shape what you're doing today?
I never wanted to set up the label straight from college. I wanted to kind of experience various other levels of industry and see how things were done, and just have a bit of a feel and a test out for what was going on there, because I didn't really understand how it worked, and I just wanted to see where things would land and how things would work. I knew I wanted to do something design creative wise, and it thankfully one thing led to another and things just kind of worked out.
So then after that period, Bottega Veneta came calling, a legendary Italian house that had become somewhat dusty. So why did you decide to go there in the end at that particular moment?
It was a brand at the time that, obviously with its huge 80s popularity, had pretty much dwindled off the radar for most people. And they really didn't know what direction to go with it. It was like a luxury brand that at that time people weren't after kind of quiet luxury other than Hermes. Everybody was ramping everything up to the nth. And that's what the brief was from them, to really just do what you like. We want to kind of have a process of reinvention and want people to take notice of the label. So we kind of had a good pop at that, I felt, to varying degrees of success along the way. But it was really, I think I learnt more within that sort of 3 years of working with them than I did within the 8 years of doing other stuff.
So you did this work at Bottega Veneta and Gucci, and then there was this incident with an infected saliva gland, spending a lot of time in the hospital, which seems to me was a defining moment for you in your career. What were you deciding then, and how did you make that decision to take the leap to launch your label?
It was definitely a very thought-provoking period. It wasn't like I was terminally ill or anything, like that. It was, but you do have a lot of. It really made me think about people who are an awful lot worse off than me when they are in hospital all that time. The strength of character to kind of go through all those things. I was in there for 10 days or something, and okay. And that was pretty hideous. But the more the point was that there was these guys who were similar age to me who were smoking through their tracheotomies outside the hospital in the start of January. And you're just thinking, what the fuck is going on here? Right. And I'd been thinking about it a lot before then as well. Right. And it was something that really made me think, really, let's just get this organised and start the ball rolling. The process of the workings of find a studio. Who do I want to work together with? What do I want it to be?